let me just make sure I understand this completely. I want to know on a bank-by-bank basis the number of families that were illegally foreclosed on. Will you give me that information?
Eventually, we're going to issue a statement to the public where we provide additional information, but if we go through the processes that I described previously, we can share it to Congress in its oversight capacity.
So you're saying you will make that information publicly available?
I did not say that. I said that we're planning on issuing a public statement that wraps up the IFR and
That's
provides
not what
additional
I'm
information.
asking for.
Yeah.
What I'm asking for is a bank-by-bank analysis of how many families they illegally foreclosed on. Will you give us that information?
We can provide that to Congress in its oversight capacity if we go through the normal processes that we're prepared to follow.
And why are you not making that public? I just want to make sure I understand.
I don't know that there's been a decision not to. I think that we're still evaluating what we're going to release publicly.
Are you claiming that the information about illegal activity is privileged and confidential?
It's all part of it is all confidential supervisory information, but that does not mean that we won't at some point release some of that information. That decision just hasn't been made at this point.
So you're saying when you find evidence of illegal activities by the banks, when they have illegally foreclosed against homeowners, that information is privileged and you will not release it without a letter from Congress?
If it is derived from the bank examination process, yes, it is.
How else would you get it?
Well, sometimes you get information through third parties, through outside sources, but in this case, that's not the case.
So unless someone throws a rock through the window with this information tied to it, you will not release it? Is that what you're saying?
To the extent that the information is confidential supervisory information derived from the exam process, it is subject to privilege. We don't ordinarily make that public. However, in this case, we do plan on making public issuances describing further findings and further analysis of the process.
On a bank-by-bank basis of illegal activity?
I don't know if that's been determined yet.
All right, so let me ask it from the other point of view. You now have evidence in your files of illegal activity, I take it, for some of these banks. I get that from the evidence you've released about the charts, who's going to get paid what. So if someone believes that they have been illegally foreclosed against, will they still have a right under this settlement to bring a lawsuit against the bank?
Yes.
All right. Now, if a family wants to bring the lawsuit, you're both lawyers, would it be helpful, if you're going against one of these big banks, would it be helpful for these families to have the information about their case that's in your files? Mr. Ashton?
It would be helpful, obviously, to have information related to the injury. Yes, it would.
Okay. So do you plan to give the families this information? That is, those families that have been victims of illegal foreclosures, will you be giving them the information that's in your possession about how the banks illegally foreclosed against them? Mr. Ashton?
I think that's a decision that we're still considering. We haven't made a final decision yet.
So you have made a decision to protect the banks, but not a decision to tell the families who were illegally foreclosed against?
We haven't made a decision about what information we would provide to individuals. That's true, yes.
Mr. Stepana?
We're in the same position.
So I just want to make sure I get this straight. Families get pennies on the dollar in this settlement for having been the victims of illegal activities or mistakes in the bank's activities. You let the banks, and you now know individual cases where the banks violated the law, and you're not going to tell the homeowners, or at least it's not clear yet whether or not you're going to do that?
We haven't made a decision on what we're going to tell the homeowners.
You know, I just have to say, I thought this was about transparency. That's what this is all about. People want to know that their regulators are watching out for the American public, not for the banks. And the only way that we can evaluate whether or not you're doing your job is if you make some of this information publicly available. And so far, you're not doing that. And without transparency, we can't have any confidence either in your oversight or that the markets are functioning properly at all. So, and that people are going to receive proper compensation for what went wrong.